Right. Just gonna give this a few minutes. Okay. Let's see. I'm just sharing it with a couple friends. So when you jump on, please say hi so I know that you're here. Okay, let's see. Just give everybody a few more minutes to jump on. So when you jump on, make sure you say hi so that I know you're here. Hey, James. Oh my gosh, long time no see. Hi, Pam. Hey, Mama, what you doing? Okay, so I think we've given Facebook enough time to kind of notify everybody that we're on and ready to go. What's up, James? So today, you know, our last talk was all about crystals, and I was super excited, but I cannot tell you how excited I am to talk about these spirit animals. I mean, this is something that I couldn't wait. It was all week. I was like, are you sure it has to be Thursday? We need to do it now, but I couldn't wait. So let's just go ahead and jump right into it. For those of you that don't know who I am Tabatha. I am a healer and facilitator. My job is to channel messages from every being, because I do believe in animism, and make sure that you are getting the messages that you need to heal. So that kind of brings us to our talk today, which is about spirit animals. And you know, animals and humans, they inhabit the earth together. You know, so why wouldn't, in the spiritual world, they also share that space? And in the spiritual world, you know, it consists of so many beings, whether it's angels, archangels, loved ones, ascended masters, animal guides, spirit guides. They each serve us, whether it's to help us, whether it's protecting, educating, healing, and inspiring us on our journey. They all have jobs, and whether it's a contract that we've given each other, or whether they're here to bring us only messages, you know, they each serve a purpose. And kind of along that lines, when we talk about spirit animals, you know, you can hear so many different things, whether it's spirit animal, totem animal, power animal. So I want to kind of decipher between the groups, and really there's 4 different groups. And the first one is going to be the messenger. And this is going to appear to you when there's a lesson that you need to learn, when there's a specific situation, maybe they're going to try to warn you. Often the times, these messenger animal guides, they come into our life suddenly. They, you know, can stay for any amount of time, and they're going to stick around really until you've received this message and you are either safe or have gotten through whatever situation it might be. It's important to know that these particular spirit animals, the messengers, you don't choose them. They choose you. You know, oftentimes we let our ego get in the way, and, well, there's no way that I could have a pig as a spirit animal. And that blocks the message that we want to receive. So it's very important, as we'll learn a little later, when these animals approach you, not to discredit, because they have a message to bring. And the second one that I want to talk about is the journey animal, the journey spirit animal. These are animals that are going to appear to us when we are at a fork in the road, or getting ready to really make life decisions that include a lot of change. They're going to stay with you. They're going to stay with you on this journey until that change has been seen completely through, until that fork in the road. Hi, Shamia. Oh my goodness. Oh my gosh, Casey Price, Amber Rose. Oh my goodness. Oh, you guys. Oh, Aunt George. Hello. Okay. Sorry, I got excited. Okay, so back to the journey animals. And so yes, these guys will stay with you until this journey is completed. Again, this can be days, months, years. It's oftentimes, this is an animal that before we came to earth, before our soul was placed into this human form, something that we have had a contract with and stated, you are going to come assist me, and your power in medicine is going to be one that I'm going to need in order to get through this journey, get through this life change. And then, you know, we have those lifetime, or these are known as our power animals, our totem animals. Oftentimes, because these animals stay with us the majority of our life, they're wild. They're not very often domesticated. And when you see people with domesticated animals as their lifetime or power or totem animal, it's really because this is kind of the foundation, right? So when you look at dogs, their counterpart in the wild is the wolf. And so a lot of people that have dog as a totem animal, really the dog is teaching them the subtleties of certain characteristics before laying that foundation, so that they make sure that we're able to handle the power and really be able to put that power and use it effectively in what we need it for. You'll have to forgive me, it was super hot here today and I feel like I need a bunch of water. And how fitting, we're talking about spirit animals. And I have my Margie Jackson, I think I just saw my spirit animal laugh out loud and I screamed. What was it, my bear's cup? So, you know, we've talked about the messenger animals. These are ones that we don't get to choose. They choose us because they come with a very specific message or warning to us. Our journey animals, which are ones that are contracted before we even come, and they're ones that are there to help us make through change, make through forks in the road. And then our lifetime, or our power animals. You can have more than one. For myself, I often come, especially when I do my healings and readings, I come with a plethora of power animals, because that is how I receive a lot of my messages. But oftentimes, people will have several power animals that will stay with them through their life. And the fourth one I want to talk about, because I don't think it gets a lot of recognition, or as much recognition as some of the others, is the shadow animal. And the shadow animal is coming to test you. The shadow animal is coming to, oftentimes, I guess, really they come in fear. So these are animals oftentimes that we would see and we'd be like, oh my God, I don't want to have anything to do with them. Ooh, it's so gross. So for a lot of people, we think spiders, we think rats. For me, mine is like bugs or slimy frogs, tadpoles. And what that's doing when that animal comes to you is trying to teach you about areas that you're needing to change in. So what it's forcing you to do is look at those qualities in the animal and say, these are qualities that I need work on in my life. So, for instance, anybody who is spiders, spiders are really kind of that animal that teaches you what you're doing now is going to weave into the future. So it's kind of that balance between past and future, male, female. And so when you're looking at a fear of that, you're looking at your fear of facing what you're doing now is really going to have effect in the future. So that's something to be cognizant of. Another one, that's kind of big is rats or rodents, right? And for them, they're really, believe it or not, about success. They bring a lot of adaptability, and even when we harness their energy of the rat, we really harness that ability to maybe even be a little aggressive in achieving that success. And so when people are fearful of the rat, or it comes as a shadow animal to people, it's really people fearing success, fearing the ability to be maybe a little aggressive. Maybe you're one that's a soft-spoken individual, and aggressiveness really isn't in your nature. Harnessing the power of the rat. But for me, like I said, it's like frogs and creepy crawly creatures. So I don't know if you can see, but these are my animal message cards, and this there is the little frog. And it's funny, for me, the frog actually teaches to sing your soul's purpose, or kind of stand in and sing your song. And so for me to be fearful of that animal, I had to stop and think, like, I was for so long fearful of what people might think or say when I stepped into this role of healing. And how would people identify me? As a witch, or as black magic? And that made me not speak up, and only kind of talk to people about it that I knew was comfortable with that. And so really looking at the frog and harnessing that power has really helped me to step into this role that I'm in now. But what it really comes down to when we're talking about animals and nature is, how do we bring it about? We see animals every day. How do we figure out what is our spirit animal? How do we communicate with it? When you start to pay attention to nature, to acknowledge nature, whether it's animals, whether it's just the natural elements in themselves, you're opening and attuning yourself to their essence. And by doing that, you're acknowledging that you're ready to share in their power, to share in this medicine that they harness. And so for me, it was spending a lot of time in nature, acknowledging that I'm ready, stepping into nature and paying homage to animals. Every time I would find a feather, thank you for this feather and its message and meaning to me. And really then studying animals, studying habitats, studying movements, allowing the movements and habitats to really speak to the energy that we were trying to harness from each of these animals. And what we look at is, aside from the power that the animal brings, harnessed as a group together, land animals, mammals, they're really going to represent our physical and our emotional ability to ground. So we call on these land animals to help us do that. We oftentimes will call on land animals when we want to reflect, when we want a symbol of power. We'll call on a land animal. When we think about, birds. For those of you that know me, know I am a bird girl. I absolutely love my birds. Actually, when I was younger, my grandma used to watch birds. And I can remember driving down the highway, and she would just slam on her brakes and be like, "Oh, did you see that heron?" And I'd be like, "Oh my gosh, here we go again." And now I'm the lady that drives down the street and slams on my brakes and says, "Oh, did you see that hawk?" Or did you? It was a crow. I know, but did you see how beautiful that crow was? So I am wholeheartedly a bird lady. But when we think about bird people, or what bird energy we kind of call, we're thinking about that ability, that freedom for your soul to fly free. It's really kind of this ability to start new beginnings. It's the bridge. Bird medicine is really the bridge between the spiritual realm and the earth realm. So it represents harmony, not only harmony and communication between the two realms, but harmony in relation to other beings. Oftentimes when you see a wolf, you'll see a raven. And ravens don't necessarily always spend time with a lot of other animals, but they're very fond of the wolf. And it represents that harmony that individuals, or excuse me, that the animals can have and that the birds represent together. Then we have water, or aquatic animals. And water is the symbol for the astrological plane. And it's got this creative element to it where it's just this abundance of life and this ever-flowing, never stops element. And it really, when I think of water, I think of this connection to my spirituality. I think of this being able to reveal fears and desires, because it's just constantly moving and constantly growing. And so when we think about those elements, we might look to water animals to harness those type of powers. And insects, as much as we don't like them, are part of nature, and they are part of our animal realm, and part of the abilities and medicine that we have to harness. And so when we think of insects, we think of that medicine or that power of persistence. Think of the mosquito. That mosquito, that fly, they are persistent. So when we want to channel that power, we look to the insects. Determination, guidance towards patience, believe it or not. And really, I think when we think about insects and the power that they bring, we also really think about the power to clear your thoughts, to think objectively, all right, and in between the two. And with that being said, no animal is better than the other. Every animal's power and medicine is extremely unique. We don't want to discard any animal, right? Because it's not glamorous or as powerful as our ego, as our own self wanted. You know, for instance, you know, you take the goat, right? This little goat. If the goat came to you as a power animal, you're like, right, who wants a goat? I want a tiger. Give me a panther, something powerful, something massive, right? But these guys are probably one of the most slept on power animals. Goats have the ability to rise above, to show your true self. They have the ability to show balance in your life unlike ever before. They are sure-footed. And so when you're looking for that ability to be on there and stay strong and stand strong in your thoughts and feelings, the goat might be one that you want to harness. So don't discard. Like I said, you know, it's always better to be powerful in mouse medicine than clumsy in an eagle's medicine. So thinking about that, how do we build connections, right? That's probably what most of you guys came here for, is how do I learn what my spirit animal is? How do I connect them? Oftentimes you will go to people like myself who are able to connect right away and help facilitate this beginning, help facilitate this meeting so that you can develop this relationship, because really that's what it's going to boil down to, is your ability to develop this relationship with this animal, to be able to communicate with them. You know, animals, they demand respect. They don't trust right away. It's something that is definitely learned. You have to honor these spirit animals, and in order to be effective, you can honor them in different ways, but once you honor them and show them the more significant they are, the more powerful and effective their medicine is going to be for you, right? So what are some different ways that we can honor these spirit animals that come into our lives? Pictures, we can honor them. Of course, reading, learning more. We can honor them through donations to wildlife rescues, donations to animal rescues. Believe it or not, dancing. Oftentimes in shamanism, or in ancient times, especially in Native American shamanism, individuals would go to the medicine man and complain of different ailments or depression or things like that. And the story goes that the shaman would ask them, when did you stop dancing? When did you stop having fun? And so kind of mimicking these movements of the animals are going to help you connect to them. So you're like, okay, how do I connect to a turtle, right? Very carefully. But, you know, kind of get down there and creep slowly like a turtle would. Or if it's a bird, you know, spin around and flap your wings. Or any kind of cat or big cat, you know, crouch down like they do. Think of ways that you can mimic and connect with these animals, because being able to think as they would think or move as they would move is only going to further help harness that energy. Because really, once we learn how to do this, once we learn how to harness that energy and work with our spirit animals in order to bring in those areas of our life, we're going to be able to open doors to the whole animal realm and to communication and to communicating with things on this realm that, you know, trees and different landscapes all can communicate. And once you are harness the power of the animals, it's only the beginning of what can communicate. And so I am so thankful that you guys came on. I can talk and talk and talk, but I want to scroll up and see if there was any questions that perhaps I missed, or if you guys have any questions or had kind of hoped maybe I would talk about something, please let me know down here. Let's see. Yes. I'm sorry that you guys had to come on here and be so negative. Okay. Hi, Sarah. So do you guys have any questions about spirit animals, whether it's the messenger, the journey animal, how to connect to them, how we can communicate with them? If you are looking to reach out to your spirit animal, this is something that I can definitely help you with, and I am running a special right now. Of course, I'm only going to do this for a limited number of people. We're going to only do this for 7, where we're going to do connect you to your spirit guide for $30, and then email you the message, and then of course how to communicate and so on. So you can stop by the page if you are interested in that. But let's see. I think we got some questions up here. So Robert said, are you talking about animals we think of, dream of, or encounter? And you know, oftentimes when we look at animals that we're constantly dreaming of, or animals that we see perhaps in places over and over and over again, these are definitely spirit animals. But differentiating between the types of spirit animals is really going to be in your ability to connect and communicate with them, being able to ask them, are you here to bring me a message? Are you here to help me on a journey through this life? Am I at a crossroads? Or are you here as one of my life totem animals, in that we are here under contract and you're able to help me harness that energy? So that is a good question. And I think that oftentimes that's how we recognize our spirit animals the most, is when we continually show up in our dreams, or if we go by the zoo or what have you, and we constantly see this animal and, oh, I just can't wait to see the zebras or whatever it is, then yes, those are spirit animals. It's just like I said, your ability to differentiate between what kind of spirit animal those are. Okay, let's see. So, oh, goodness. Let's see. So Maggie says, if let's say a scorpion is, why can't I scroll down? Is my spirit animal and I kill it, is that a horrible way to deal with them? So Maggie, for a lot of us, especially those of us that are believe in animism, we believe that everything has a soul. So we don't often kill things. I have had huge wolf spiders in my house that we've had several conversations with to not come back. So if we're going to talk about killing them, then no, I think that relocating them perhaps would be better. But really, they're showing up, and they're going to continue to show up in your life until you pay attention to, like I said, the message that they're trying to bring you, or the characteristics that they want you to pay attention to harness. So Pam wants to know, is it spirit or power? So Miss Pam, we talked kind of a little bit about that. There's different, names for that, whether spirit, power, totem is another one. And really, when we refer to a spirit animal or animal guides, it's the kind of all-encompassing, that umbrella that covers it. But there is the branches between. And so we have the messenger guide that kind of comes to bring specific messages. This is not one that we get to choose. This is one that chooses us. You have the journey guides that are there when you are at a fork in the road, or when you need to make decisions that involve a lot of change. You do have the lifetime, which are often referred to as power or totem animals, because you have contracted them for those characteristics in which you harness their power or their medicine. And then we do have shadow animals. And let's see, so Maggie says, thank you, I get scared of them and just react. No worries. I tell you, the last time I had a wolf spider, it was no joke. It was about that big. And the guy told me, oh, that's a baby. And I was like, okay. It was in my shower. I pulled the shower curtain open, and it was like right there, like, hey. And I was like, okay, we can't do this right now. I haven't had coffee. It's way too early. So yes, so don't worry. Okay, let's see. Let's go up here. Siobhan says, I could never determine what my spirit animal was. And remember, a lot of us have more than one, and we have the ability to call in the energy as well. If we are going to do a big talk, or we are going to do a healing. For myself, when I do healings or when I channel, I always call in the energy of the owl, because the owl is the all-seeing, keen eyesight. And so this energy is what I use to channel. So while it may not necessarily be one of my power or totems, it is, but I would have the ability to channel that energy when I need it. So keep that in mind. Let's see. Victoria says, I always joke that birds have a thing for me. Since last year, I see hawks, cardinals, and blue jays everywhere. Sometimes they swoop by my passenger side window when I'm driving. Yes, so these could have a lot of different meanings. Cardinals, blue jays, oftentimes we see more as messenger birds, but for sure could be power animals or even journey animals. And the fact that so many different types of birds, Victoria, you sound a lot like me, and that we really harness that bird spirit, which is one of freedom, which is one of, kind of this bridge, this oftentimes a lot of clairvoyants have this bird energy because they are the bridge or the gapway, channelers, mediums, psychics, that kind of thing, between the two spiritual world and the earth world. So very interesting. Maggie says, oh, sorry, Maggie. Robert says, Victoria should get a reading. Yes, Victoria, please stop by my page. And there's a couple different options there for you. I would love to help connect you to your power animal. Rudy says, I'm an elephant. Rudy, does that mean you are an elephant as a lifetime animal? Or is this one you think maybe only sticks with you through a certain journey? It'd be interesting to hear. Are there any other questions for me. Let's see. Robert says, last reading I was a skunk, but like Tab said, we may have many and they change. Yep, absolutely. Sarah says, dogs have always been in my life, but I feel butterflies and dragonflies visit. So, Sarah, I'm not sure if you were here kind of early on when we talked about domesticated versus wild, but oftentimes when we have domestic animals as one of our spirit animals, they're there to lay the foundation for their wild counterpart. So for dogs, you know, you think of the wolf as being their counterpart. So the dog energy is a little softer than what the wolf is going to bring. So they're there to teach you to harness, to teach you to effectively use that medication before they just throw wolf energy at you. So, sorry, I'm trying to read and scroll at the same time. And butterflies and dragonflies are often seen as messages from our loved ones. And when they come around, that's often what is representative of a dragonfly, although they do have different characteristics in themselves when they are not representation of a message from our loved one. And butterflies, that is that transition, that beautiful ability to metamorphose into what your heart desires, to make this change you're going through in life. And so butterflies, dragonflies, beautiful messages passed from those animal realms. Miss Sheila says, I was told long ago that I had belonged to the red-tailed hawk tribe in another lifetime. Moved to the southeast U.S. 3 years ago. I live on Red-tailed Hawk Lane. I was also told I am currently accompanied by a condor. Miss Sheila, so you and I can connect probably very easily in that hawk and owl are very similar. They're actually the opposite. So where hawk is the sun or a daytime bird, owl is the nighttime. They actually live together in very same habitats, and the owl doesn't mind because the hawk is daytime and the owl hunts at night. But how wonderful is it that you have all these synchronicities, this red-tailed hawk tribe, red-tailed hawk lane, beautiful. And I would challenge you to learn a little bit about the hawk, because each bird does carry its own different characteristics. More specifically, look up the red-tailed hawk and the fierceness and the determination that comes with that animal, for sure. Let's see what else we have here. It says, Mary asked, do spirit animal guides manifest as humans in dreams? Oh, I'm so sorry, Miss Mary. You know, sometimes I can't scroll all the way up. It just keeps, Facebook is so tricky. So, do spirit animal guides manifest as humans in dream? No. Spirit animals can come as symbols. They can come as themselves, or even as a shapeshifter. But in some way or form, you are going to know that it is that animal, if that makes sense. So when you think of, and what I'm trying to say is, when you think of cave drawings, or for me, I follow a lot of the Norse shamanism. So the Celtics, the Germanics, Scottish, they have different symbols for horses or crows or whatever it is. So when you think about that showing up in your dreams, or the animal themselves, when you think of Native Americans, you think a lot of the shapeshifters, the ability to shift in between animal and human, and it could possibly show up that way. But what I'm being told from my guides is that it will always show up in a form that you would recognize as an animal in order to connect to it. If that makes sense. Sarah says, awesome, thank you. I see monarch butterflies everywhere. It totally makes sense. Good, I'm glad. Yes, butterflies are awesome. And Sheila says, thank you. I will look into this more. Absolutely. Sheila, if you have any questions, please reach out to me because, like I said, this is one area that I absolutely love. And I love to connect people with their animals because there's just so much unconditional love that we can learn to harness from this realm of beings. And so anytime that I can connect someone to them, it just fills my heart with joy. So do we have any more questions from anybody out there before we jump off? No? Thank you guys again so much for joining me. I was super excited to bring this, and I hope that you guys found it very beneficial. If you would like to learn more, like I said, go ahead and stop by the page or shoot me a message and an email. And I look forward to talking with you guys again on a different topic. Have a good night. Bye.